We're less than 30 days away from the official start of opening day in the major leagues, and expectations are fully beginning to build for the Philadelphia Phillies and the rest of the league. While we talk plenty about the battle on the bench for that last roster spot on this Phillies team, we haven't acknowledged enough the competition in the bullpen, in which there is a notable name that has emerged himself in this spring training. Going to dive into all that, as well as why I think the tactic for building at the bullpen has changed for this Phillies team, and everything else with this new name that I'm excited to dive into. Now, before I get hit on everything here, do want to remind you guys, make sure you are smashing that subscribe button. That at this point in time, 72% of you guys watching these videos have not subscribed to the channel just yet. The real season is right around the corner, and me and Luke Arcani are going to be all over from start to finish. So we want to grow this Phillies Digest family as large as possible. We're going to be having some hangouts, some live streams, some watch-alongs, all these kind of things coming up soon. So about to hit the ground fully running and want you a part of it right there. So to get into the topic of today, do want to shout out my guy Jack Fritz from WIP here, who tweets out, "Good morning. The Phillies have found their next Jeff Hoffman. His name is John McMillon." And that is the main topic that I do want to get into today. A guy that has caught my eye. It's just one inning that he has pitched in spring training. And I know it's spring training, so we're not going to get too ahead of ourselves here, but do want to highlight exactly what has been done and speak a little bit about the big picture in this bullpen. So first, I'll defer to another respective name in baseball media from Alex Carr MLB, who tweets out, "I wanted to shoot off a tweet about this earlier, but I feared it might be a bit too baseball sicko of me. John McMillon was gross today. Topped out at 100.2 miles per hour on his fastball and flashed a nasty slider. Will be interesting to see if will be an interesting arm to keep an eye on going forward." And that is really the state of this Phillies bullpen that I want to get into the most. Is I think it's been a step back from these assigned roles to having these clear guys that you believe are going to be in the high leverage spots to allowing these guys to earn that opportunity. The competition to me is a clear theme in this bullpen, and it's a lot of guys that should have that hunger as they search for a bounce back year. A guy like Jordan Romano is a perfect example of that has really been the prize of the offseason from a bullpen perspective. But the hit on his numbers from last year, pretty concerning. In just 15 games, he pitched at 13.2 innings, allowed 4 home runs, 13 strikeouts, 16 hits. That comes out to a 6.59 ERA, a 1.463 whip. That is just not good enough there. Now, granted, if you want to look at the best version of Jordan Romano, that is an effective bullpen pitcher who could absolutely be the closer on this Phillies team. And I understand closer is a little bit of a buzzword that this team does not like, as they have embraced this not having true roles in a way that I don't personally love. That I'm a guy that I like the concept of knowing who your closer is, knowing who the guy that is going to step on the mound in the ninth inning. I get the concept of picking your matchups, when the most dangerous hitters are, finding the most high leverage situation, and that's when rolling out your best stuff. But the reality in my mind, you got to play 9 innings no matter what, man. And there is something comforting about having the guy ready to close things out. And if Jordan Romano could become that, I would be quite intrigued. But I do want to bring it back to the guy that this video really sparked. And I want to pull up the pitching graphic here for John McMillon. You can see a little bit of the stuff that he has. And that's sort of the story of him, that he has the raw talent. He lacks a little bit of the control, and he has some injury issues. And Dave Dombrowski, for what it's worth, has been fairly complimentary of him. I did want to pull up this article here, that this was written last year when he was shut down for the year for an injury. And it writes, "A September elbow injury brought McMillon's season to an abrupt end, but according to quotes from Phillies president of baseball operations, Dave Dombrowski, from a recent article written by Matt Gelb of The Athletic, the Phillies don't seem too concerned with McMillon's health status for next season." That, of course, meaning this upcoming year. "We took a gamble in the sense that we do like his abilities," said Dombrowski per Gelb, "but I can't tell you for sure whether he'll be healthy." McMillon was starting to carve out a role for himself before getting shut down this past season. Could the Phillies give him a bullpen role in 2025? With the recent subtraction of Marte, an obvious need was born in terms of adding an experienced right-handed bullpen arm to stash in AAA next season. So at 27 years old, with very little major league experience to this point, it does feel like now is the time for McMillon to make his push. Now, when looking at this bullpen as a whole, and I will pull up the roster here, there is a lot of notable names, and to dive down a couple of them, Matt Strahm, I do think the expectations are higher for this year. And he was very good last year. To put some respect on his name, that he pitched in 66 games, 62.2 innings pitched there, allowed just 36 hits across that time, 79 home runs, and 79 strikeouts and just 4 home runs allowed. That comes down to 5.2 hits per 9 innings, a 1.87 ERA, a .75 whip there. 33 years old and still performing at an incredibly high level. Strahm's going to be looked at to be the top left-handed arm in this bullpen, and he's earned that right there. He's paid like it. He has delivered for the most part. I understand the playoff woes weren't awesome, but he is a guy that I'm willing to run it back and see if Strom can perform better this year. Now, to continue down this bullpen list, Jose Alvarado is an interesting one here, that we've seen the best and we've seen the worst of Jose Alvarado, and this is a little bit who McMillon reminds me of in a sense. I haven't seen enough to fully connect those to this point. I don't think it is probably quite as high of a range as a guy like Alvarado, who the control is the story with him as well, and that's been the case throughout his career. Now, to Jose's credit, if you've seen any pictures or videos of him at spring training, the boy has slimmed down a ton. That this is one of those true best shape of their life campaigns that he is on. I would love for that to be the case. That isn't anything that I'm overly concerned about in general for pitchers and really for athletes in general. If you want to bulk up a little bit and be a little extra heavy, that's never anything that I'm going to be too hard on. And particularly for a guy like Jose, who throws his heart out on every single pitch, that is bringing power. He's a power pitcher. That's not something that I'm going to be super on top of. But nonetheless, this might be something that does breed some different results. And we see something with Jose. So something to note there. That will be a guy to have the eye on this week. Jordan Romano, we touched on. That is a guy who I have hope can develop into that, but I'm not sure if I'm as confident as I would like to be. It is a sort of a prove-it contract and will be interesting. Orion Kirkring is a guy I have more hope in. Right below that, he has a very clear chance to be that lockdown right-handed pitcher and a guy who could earn that top leverage spot. But for the time being, as of day one of the regular season here, Orion's the guy higher up than Romano in the depth chart, or should be in my mind there. Now, to keep heading down the bullpen overall, Tanner Banks I like, but I don't think he's anything to write home about or get super excited about. Jose Ruiz, I thought actually pitched very well last year for stretches and really earned some trust as this season continue. And then Joe Ross is a guy that this organization seems really high on. A bit of a tweener, sort of fitting that Spencer Turnbull type role. He has plenty of experience as a starter at the major league level, but they do look like they're trying to turn him into a little bit more of that swing role. And honestly, his bullpen numbers are quite impressive. You can make a pretty compelling case why he should be looked at as a potential high leverage guy. I think that is something that will sort itself out as play continues, and that's sort of the appeal of this bullpen as a whole. Then there's Taijuan Walker, who knows what things are ultimately going to shake out with Taijuan. There's a lot of love coming out of spring training for how he's performing, and that's great to hear. I'm rooting for the guy. I do hope there is a redemption arc for Taijuan Walker. I'm not as, invested in making that gamble as I would like to be the case there. I think there's a pretty likely chance that the dude could just be cooked, but I would love to be wrong about that. If he can provide any sort of positive to this Phillies team, we should run with that. So not closing the door on Taijuan there, but something to note for sure. Then can continue. This is where everything is sort of open for the taking, and none of these guys I have super high expectations will hit. Max Lazar, I do like a little bit. Tyler Phillips has shown some flashes. Shout out to him for fighting last year and really delivering something for this Phillies team. He cooled off after a hot start. There's no doubt about that, but I do give him a lot of respect for kind of gritting up. Now, to bring it back to John McMillon here, this is a guy that I do want to bring into this mix in the bullpen conversation. I don't have the highest of expectations in the short term for him earning opportunity, but what I do want to praise Dave Dombrowski for is this continued just pursuit of adding high leverage arms that could improve here. That to me is the story of this Phillies bullpen overall. It's about competition. It's about guys who are on their redemption arc, who are trying to prove they belong and are really scrapping for spots within each other. When you think about what a role is within a bullpen, so often in sports that contracts or money directly dictates opportunity. And that is what money is in the professional sports sense, that you hand out money, you hand out contracts with an expectation that you deliver at what that dollar sign commands there. For this Phillies organization, they kind of have strayed away from that tactic here, that this is about, here's your chance, go earn what your role can be. That when you think about guys like Carlos Estevez walking away for a healthy paycheck, guys like Jeff Hoffman walking out of this organization, it's interesting to me that they did not prioritize trying to keep those. I thought for sure one of those guys would be back in red pinstripes this year. Neither of them I kind of faded, particularly with that postseason exit fresh on the mind. I get wanting to move on, and frankly, shout out to both them for getting a paycheck done. We've also dove into plenty for some of the health concerns with Jeff Hoffman. So there is a chance that is a ticking time bomb here, although you can make the same argument for guys like Romano here in Phillies. But the point being here that there isn't this set, like, this is the lineup of the bullpen in a way that a lot of teams do. I think the Phillies have really leaned into this direction of, sure, they have their high leverage guys that prioritize in certain situations, but I think this is about guys ready to earn their complete opportunity, and I think there is something pretty refreshing about that. So we will see how the bullpen order ultimately shakes out, but I am intrigued by this sort of tactic of letting these guys earn it themselves, let everybody fight and let the cream rise to the top there. We will see who ultimately that cream is, but very excited to see how this bullpen fully shapes form. While individually you can kind of look at these and think that there is a step back in talent, I do think collectively there's a chance chance that this bullpen is even deeper and even better than last season when it is in its full form. It's going to take a minute to get to that and fully sort through the evaluations. Obviously, still very early in spring training, but the real thing is right around the corner, and me and Luke are going to be breaking things down from every single angle. So once again, appreciate you guys tuning into this video here. If you have not already, make sure you're smashing that subscribe button. Right now, just 28% of you guys watching this video have subscribed this far, so let's get those numbers rolling. Appreciate you guys for tuning in once again. I'll be back talk with you next time right here on Phillies Digest. Peace.